This is Dave with Hammond Motorsports. I want to take a little bit of time and talk about our setup plates for the wide 5 that are most commonly used in the dirt late models, asphalt late models, big block modifieds, etc. You do the same thing with these as you can for my modifieds, street stocks, bandoleros, legends, etc. Anyway, what you got to do first of all is contact your chassis manufacturer and see where can you find a square point of the car. See if it's maybe the cross member that's square that you can plumb bob off. It might be the 4-link mounts. Some car builders will have you reference off this bottom mount both sides where you can plumb bob down and draw your line. But find that out first. Then, now this car is off the front cross member. So we plumb bobbed off, and I got this straight edge going across. Then I come out here with the blue sheet metal or sheetrock square and broke a 90. Positioned the rack where I wanted it. Took some vice grips up there, locked it into place. Then we've got this is square, and I'm using these squares to come up. You can come in here. It's a little bit harder to do by myself and video here. But what's nice with the squares is you can come in there like on your 3-inch mark, and then you can measure and see, what your dimension is on the back side. And then do the same. Come up here, and you can do the front. You can get your toe set per wheel. Now, some people put toe in the right, some put left, some put in both. All will work. It is driver preference. Now, when you do this, you can also make sure that your straight line goes out to the right side as well. So now you can do the exact same procedure and you can get toe set per wheel. This way you know you're correct. And then once you're done, you come back and you can hook your tape on your toe plates and do an overall to recheck where you're at. Now there's quite a few things we can do with these setup plates, and I've touched a lot of it in my other videos, but I just want to do one here with the wide 5s. Now let's say you want to do bump steer. With bump steer, you'll have to take your shock and spring out. Now I got this one in, and I won't be able to do a full thing, but you'll get an idea. Get the car set like at your ride height and know what kind of travel you get. Then after you got your wheels positioned where you want it, come in here. You see I took a piece of flat stock that's like 1 inch thick, and I squared it to the plate. Then you take a tape measure from here, do the same up here on the front, over. Then, generally with the dirt late model, you'll measure from your shock bolt down here to shock bolt, and you'll know that, for example, 19 inches is ride height. And then where it's at on the race car when the car is in full compression on the right front, you'll know that dimension as well. And you can just simply take the floor jack with the coilover removed, let the jack run down, and then you can keep measuring from this point to your plate and both front and back. So now you can do your bump steer. Remember, doing your bump steer this way will be the most accurate way you can do it. The tire will stay contact to the floor just like it does on the racetrack. And we will move the chassis through the motions to do our bump steer and get everything set correctly. A couple other things we can do. I'm going to pull this jack out. Highly recommend getting a few of these little jacks. They're pretty damn cheap and you can do a lot with them. Now the setup plates may change your body heights, but it won't change your ride heights, as you have your center to center shock measurements a lot on the front, and then the rear, most of them will go like axle tube up here to the frame rail, or maybe the lower to the bottom of the axle tube as a height. That will stay the same. It doesn't matter if this plate is 8 inches tall or 16 inches tall. It'll still stay the same. Now, I actually designed these off of the IMCA late model tires, and it works pretty damn good on everything. We've got these plates and from your local late models to the World of Outlaws, Lucas Oil, and got them in the big block modifieds, and the pavement modifieds, etc. A lot of pavement late model cars. But what's really neat with this plate is you can get in here and actually work on your stuff. You can measure your bar angles. You can see exactly where they're at. You can get in here. Now, these are my cages that I build, and I can put an angle finder down here and see where I'm at, if the cage is 0 index or if it's indexed in or out of the spring, etc. Another thing you can do is you can go over there and measure your J-bar. Measure from the chassis side, from the floor up to the heim joint. Take your tape measure, set it like that, and run this to the center of the bolt. Get it set to that height. Then you can come in here, set it like this, and then you can read your tape. And like I say, it's a little hard to do by myself here, but you get the idea. Now you can say, hey, there's 5 inches of split in it. That's how easy that is. Check the rear end. Now, some rear ends you measure like from your inner frame rail here to the center of the rear end, or maybe to a side bell. You can just get in here and do this real easy. Another thing is you can check your pinion angle. You can get in here and really work with your lift arm, measure everything up, make sure your dry shaft, it's really nice. We can check our dry shaft, make sure we never bottom out, and do different things. Another thing I was going to show you, I'm going to go over here to the left rear, is you want to check and see when the car goes into hike how much wheelbase loss you're getting, how much steer you're getting, etc. It's very easy. Again, just take the floor jack, place them up here by where the seat is, and to do your wheelbase, just take the square, put up against the back of it. Then you can come in here and you'll have your measurements of how much hike you get, etc. When the car goes up, now you can go back down there, you can measure and say, I got that much wheelbase loss. And before you do that, if you put another one of those flat edges like I have on the right front, you could put it up here and then measure from here to your plate and see how much steer you get. The other thing that's really neat is you can put your angle finder up here on your bars and see how much bar angle you have in hike. Check all that out. And just remember though, if you got a bent lower bar, you can't put an angle finder on here. You'll have to draw a straight line and check it that way, make sure everything's right. But then you can continue to run the rear end up until it hits your chain, your under rail, however you stop it. Then you can come in and measure how much cage index do you have. Nice thing here is you come in here and you can see that when the car's up in hike, that we have that much of free play in our spring. Weekly maintenance, we could come back and we could remeasure that and see and make sure everything's all right. But these plates, you can get a lot of information out of it, and you can really work with your car, because if you don't know where your wheels are at, you can throw shocks and springs and bar changes at it all day long and it probably won't matter, because if you got to have the wheels pointed correctly first in order to start doing your shock, spring, bar changes to have the car react correctly to those changes. But I just wanted to show you this, what we got. We've got these plates available. They're in stock. I've got dealers across the country. There's warehouses that have them. Just, you can give me a call at 563-659-1153 or HammondMotorsports.com. And, you know, if you got questions, give me a call. I'll help you through it. And we're constantly learning new things, what we can do all the time with these plates. And it's just a handy tool. Forgot to say, we can check the rear end tubes, make sure they don't bend, because they bend fairly easy. So, like I say, willing to help you out if you give me a call, and appreciate it. Thank you for your time, and good luck racing.